So, EthosCE has been around for a really long time and has a strong component with being able to set up an optimization for revenue generation for any of our organizations or clients or associations that are utilizing it. And the way that we are helping facilitate that revenue generation is basically creating a system that hosts your online content, whether it's enduring live courses, grand rounds, or regularly scheduled series, any purchasable items like podcast, journal content, PDFs, any content that you want to be able to display and monetize can be fitted into this system. There's a lot of different ways to format that and set that up. So users can land on a public landing page here and be able to scroll through different options within your catalog and see your offerings before they even engage with the system. So a lot of customization can go into how they want to locate material or content in your offerings, as well as benefits that you're offering. So encouraging membership by maybe reducing or packaging different rates for members versus non-member pricing. Our system does incorporate custom roles. So if you need to set up very specific content or material or pricing around those roles, whether it be for internal staff members or external public people who aren't members of your organization, all of that can be customized and curated so that you have multiple options or tiers of levels of that monetization. The other is just being able to show a benefit to your members and membership of your offerings. So just again, being able to package that content in a multitude of different ways and being able to market it. So we do have ways of creating different categories or topics to organize your content and offerings, whether it be by topic or category, format, price, start date, or most importantly, credit type, because the idea is to have these offerings available to your users to be able to earn that credit and keep track of that within their own global transcripts. Of course, you can see where we have a ways to marketing the material or content on the site through thumbnails or imagery, as well as being able to customize, clicking into that and showing what faculty or speakers are involved, any disclosures that need to be disclosed to the users, as well as learning objectives. So when the user is navigating this content, of course, they can refine by these different filters, but we do have a really robust omnisearch feature as well, either through the site or course catalog. So when searching for that content or those activities, not only do we search by the title, the description, the learning objectives, the speaker bios or faculty bios. It basically sources all of those fields of content and data that either you administratively or your course or activity authors can add in as key points or words for them to be able to locate these activities easily. So with that, I did want to pivot, as one of our strongest attributes with this LMS is that we are a premier technology partner for ACCME. We'll get into this, especially on the administrative side of where you can curate your activities and database fields in the system to streamline reporting. So we have very specific fields that house the activity ID, credit types, boards that we're reporting to, etc. And this goes less broadly for ACCME, and we can actually specify supporting maintenance of certification. So those MOC fields are really important in the system. joint accreditation with JA PARS, so we have fields that support that as well. And then we also work with CE Broker and CPE Monitor. So we've really worked hard over the years to curate the relationships with all of these organizations, just to streamline the reporting and take the onus out of you administratively and the learner, and be able to link what the learner has earned in the system to the appropriate organizations or boards so that it's being reported correctly and up to date across all systems. With that being said, I'm going to dive into the learner's perspective. So let's just say a learner is interested in attending an activity or session, maybe a live activity in your system, and they get registered or enrolled. From there, you can see where they can either log in or register. So typically we host a native account creation in the system, but we do work with a number of different AMSs or membership databases to curate single sign-on as well to help streamline that profile creation. And again, streamline that data flow between systems. In this case, you can see both options are available. So if I am a member, I can log in through my membership portal or login. Otherwise, I would have the option to create a guest account if for some reason you don't want to host those non-member accounts in your AMS or membership database. So Ethos can still support creating a visitor login or account. So if you want to do that across the board, we can support that. If you want to support just a single sign-on across the board, we can do that, or any combination like what you're seeing here. When the user goes to create an account in the system, whether it's through the single sign-on or through our process, there's a number of different fields that you can customize. And I want to touch base on their experience with entering in the credit-specific fields for reporting. So not only in this case are we collecting like their profession or specialty or degrees or organization, but you can see here specifically in this example for maintenance of certification, where we want to collect the specialty board that user is associated with and their license or board ID along with their date of birth. So again, we can capture these fields of data to help streamline those reporting purposes for the credits earned if that's needed as part of your process. So attaching that to the user's account helps us match that to what's being offered with the course or activity offering. And then all of that kind of packages together with the reporting aspect to match all of that and show that they earned the correct certification or credit for that activity, and it's all reported automatically. Going into the user's view, I want to dive into an example of enduring activity here. So this is a course that I've already enrolled in. And I've gotten it started on some of the course progress. So breaking down an activity in the system or the user's workflow is really, really simple. In this example, we have a lot of different workflow types for this demonstration. So each of your activities might have a different workflow than what you're seeing on this left-hand navigation. For this enduring activity, the learner would have to watch a certain portion of this video in order to proceed forward with completing an exam or post-test. Maybe they need a passing score for that post-test to be able to then move on to their evaluation, feedback form, collecting their credit, and downloading their certificate that's earned. So you can make different aspects of this workflow dependent on each other, and those dependencies can work together, or you can allow the learner to skip around to different aspects. Maybe there's several different videos that they need to watch or different quizzes that they need to take behind each video. So lots of different options to curate this experience. We also do have the opportunity to host live activities. So the video would be replaced with maybe a specific code that the faculty member provided during their live session. Maybe that's a code that the user could actually text to our system to verify that attendance. So we do have that feature as well. And then we also can link to live webinars. So if you're hosting a Zoom webinar session or GoToMeeting session that's virtual, we can link to that live webinar here and have that integration with the webinar to, again, account for that attendance. So lots of different ways to set up this workflow depending on the activity type. With the video specifically, we have in-house video technology that you're seeing here from the learner's perspective, where the course faculty member can either upload video content that they've already pre-recorded, in this case, this interview, or they can actually have the ability to self-record in our system. So that will incorporate AI either way to develop the closed captioning that you're seeing here. So when the learner goes to play, we have the closed captioning available for them. They can actually search within the video as well. So really helpful if they are taking a quiz and realize that they need to return back to study more of a specific topic area in the material. They can search the video for that topic and jump around and revisit those portions of the video if need be. So lots of different options for the learner's perspective here to engage with the content. And again, we can enforce specific criteria for the video watching or for the webinars where they have to watch 75% of the video to be able to proceed. We can enforce them to prevent them from skipping ahead or watching at a certain speed that's too fast. So again, lots of different ways to engage with that enduring content if needed. With that, also some benefits of utilizing our video technology within the system is that it is secure. So a learner does have to be enrolled in the system to be able to watch this content. They're not able to download it and share it with any other person outside of the system. It's going to have that baseline requirement versus using like YouTube or Vimeo, where maybe a password could be shared. So from a security aspect as well, we really try to support that heavily to make sure that your content is specific to your system and site and accessible to the people who need access to it or have gained access to it. That being said, moving on to the different testing features, you can have different knowledge checks or pre-test. I'm going to dive straight into our quizzing post-test view. So this is a little more robust because, again, you can enforce a passing score for specific quantitative questions, either yes, no, true, false, multi-select, being able to answer those questions and also provide the learner with immediate feedback. So the nice thing about this is that when they complete that exam, there are different ways to compose the content or material. In this case, you can see where we've categorized the questions so that they can know, each question is specific to a certain topic or category within the activity. And then per ACCME standards, the course admin can actually share a feedback section as well. So in this case, you can see verification of why I got a question correct. It links out to specific materials or resources to support that answer, and then also giving feedback on why I got an answer incorrect. So again, all of that can be automated and set up so that the learner can be autonomous when they're engaging with the system and get that feedback immediately. So lots of different options there. We'll dive into a little bit more administratively, the benefits not only to the learner, but to you as admin on why we can categorize the different questions in the system, maybe in a question bank, where you can have different questions pulling from different topics, but maybe being randomized at each attempt, or maybe you have each quiz attempt, the same quiz every time. So there's a lot of flexibility there. But from the learner's perspective, they can compare their knowledge check or pre-test results against their post-test results. They can also check against their peers, as well as a full assessment or analysis by those topic areas. So from the learner's perspective, they can keep track of the number of attempts they've received. In here, I can break down and say, oh, maybe I need to really focus on my prescription, knowledge and revisit that either in this activity or maybe search for other courses or activities in the system that focus on that topic. So great for the learner to reflect on that breakdown of different topics or categories within the activity itself. But then also for you administratively, you can keep track of this from a reporting perspective and say, hey, we don't have a lot of content focused on opioid prescription. So there's a needs assessment there, and just being able to verify for new activity applications or propositions in the future, just showing that knowledge gap and having the data and reporting behind it in the system is statistically showing those statistics and those numbers helps assist kind of making that case for providing that new content. From there, we do have a feedback and evaluation form. So it's really important if you want to be able to collect data about the faculty or about the activity itself or the format. So again, we can set up Likert scale questions. We can set up yes/no questions, multi-select, single select, conditional logic in the questions, as well as free-form text fields to collect any amount of data that you want from the learner and their experience. With that, we do have some creative uses for this. So if for some reason you have a faculty member that wants to collect an essay question, again, the learner wouldn't get provided immediate feedback on that, but the faculty member can review and provide feedback at a later time if they still need to collect that as part of the activity. Going into the different credits being offered, you can see where the learner can either self-select, or in this case, we are automating the selection, maybe linking that up again with their profile data of the credits that are being earned for this specific activity. And all of that translates into the certificate that they'll have access to. So once they've completed all of the required options, they can download a customized certificate that will match the theming and design of your creation for your organization. So with that, you can see this example where we're pulling in specific mail merge fields with the learner information, the activity information, the credits earned, and then of course any images, signature files, logos, text that you need to add to that to make that certificate your own. The last area that I wanted to go over is just the learner's transcript. So I'm actually just going to go into this example here where we have a global transcript of all of the credits and completed activities earned. So you can see here where we have a rolling credit profile of what the learners completed thus far in the system. And of course, they can filter this. Let's say I want to see everything that I earned from last year. So I can adjust the date and time range on this and be able to make those filters so I can see just all of the credits total combined for that date and time period. We do also have a way to house external credits from the system. So if the learner wants to keep track of things that they've earned outside of the system, they can always go in and add credits. If they want to upload a certificate that was earned, from an activity that wasn't your exact offering, and there are different credits available, they can add that into the system. And then we also keep track of their pending activities. So picking up where they left off for a specific activity or package that they've purchased, we can always direct them back into where they left off so they don't have to complete everything in one sitting if that's not necessary for that specific activity. The last thing that I wanted to go over from the learner's perspective is for those of you that aren't familiar with Cadmium as a whole, we do have a lot of large live event offerings and technology as well. So if you're hosting a larger event or conference that's live or hybrid or even virtual, we do have a whole support system of speaker management, exhibitor sponsor management, our website, mobile app for attendees on site, abstract and submission management, and all of that can filter in to your LMS. So let's just say we're hosting this full schedule on the event. We can move over and import a lot of the schedule data as enduring content within your LMS, and you can pick and choose which sessions from your live schedule you want to move into enduring content. So that's a really simple way to be able to repackage that for any people that weren't able to attend or register in person. And then you can see that offering here where we're having almost like an online version of that conference where everything's been recorded, and then they can jump into those recordings and earn the credits from there. The last areas that I did want to go over were just on the administrative side. So I know we touched on a lot of different options from the user's perspective, but from the administrative side, you can manage all of your enrollments, keep track of your learners, who's engaging with the content and material when. It's very easy to import or add learners to a specific activity or search and enroll them. And then managing the activity itself, going into the back end specifics here, not only are you managing how the look and feel and display of the activity is in your system as far as like the title, the course description, the date and time offering, but we have those ACCME specific fields that I was referring to before. So activity title specific fields, activity format, going into the types of credits being offered, and then the different accreditation details. So again, that specific activity ID versus your own internal ID. If it's that joint providership, we can add in those joint providers here. And then also if it's regards to MOC, we have those maintenance of certification specific fields as well. So surrounding your different specialties, these can all be customized. And again, those different boards that we're linking to as well. So this, again, as a reminder, matches up with the learners fields and credentials in their account with the activities fields and credentials for that streamlined reporting. We do have specific course reports for the different components of the activity. So if you are trying to break down just kind of a dashboard of your post-test or pre-test statistics, your evaluation and feedback that's been provided, all of that's available to you administratively. So we have, course-specific dashboards that links with our integration with Looker Analytics. So you can see, very specific data on an activity by activity basis. If I wanted to break down the different course workflow and see the progress of, who's taken the post-test so far and the number of correct score or factor standard deviation with that, all of that's available in the system as well. We can compare that against the knowledge check or pretest, or filter this down by the first attempts. So lots of different ways to analyze that data. And then the same thing goes for your feedback. So that evaluation piece, you can also get really good visual data at a glance to share with your stakeholders of, how effective was the learning in this content. So you can see kind of the feedback that the learners are providing, and be able to analyze that, see if for some reason the faculty member wasn't as effective as you thought they would be, or the course format or type wasn't the best delivery for that material, and make adjustments moving forward. One last area is just more of our global analytics and offerings. So you can break down all of your course offerings and kind of break down feedback and different system statistics on the credits awarded by different type across the board, your enrollment versus completion rate for your learners, seeing a heat map of all of your learners and where they're located. So really robust reporting tool that then you can also filter down. So maybe I want to focus this just on live activities or just on webinars. There are different ways to kind of filter down that material. And then the other nice thing with this reporting feature is that you do have the ability to schedule delivery. So if you need to send this to your stakeholders, let's say once a month, you can send that through an email. We also offer delivery through like webhooks or SFTP files. So if you wanted to integrate that into other systems, that is available as well. So lots of different robust material. Again, depending on how you're trying to break down the data, we have user data. It's really good tracking of engagement through the entire system versus on a per activity basis. And then we also do have reporting for your e-commerce. So if you want to break down, what you are receiving as far as revenue in the system and all of that reporting, these are basically a list of all of our standard reports in the system, as well as we have the capability of creating those custom reports as well.